Hello and welcome! I am so excited because I get to talk and tell you guys all about Studio Ghibli right now. And Studio Ghibli is such a underrated production company, and a lot of people aren't aware of it, that it fits under the Disney realm because it is Japanese animation anime, and I do know that it's a lot bigger now, but it didn't used to be. And it did take me a while to get into anime myself, but now I really admire the entire aesthetic of it and the culture. I love Japanese culture and I just really want to be able to share it, and this is such a favorite film of mine. So the next couple of days we're going to be talking about a couple of Studio Ghibli films, and today we're going to be talking about my favorite, KIKI'S Delivery Service.
Come along on a ride you'll never forget with an all-new feature-length movie adventure.
Go!
Coming to video for the very first time.
Hold on!
KIKI'S Delivery Service.
KIKI'S Delivery Service was released in Japan back in 1989, but it didn't get a Disney dub until 1998. So they did have a English dub back in 1990 with different cast, but the Disney version, the one that is literally released from Disney under Studio Ghibli, it released it onto VHS and DVD through Disney, is the one that came out in 1998. When it comes to voices, we have Kirsten Dunst, who was the voice of Kiki, and the late great Phil Hartman, who did Gigi, who is the black cat, and one of my favorite characters. I want more Gigi merchandise, but Studio Ghibli merchandise is really expensive, but that's just a side note. Matthew Lawrence plays Tombo, who, if you're a little bit younger or whatever, you may not know the Lawrence brothers, but the Lawrence brothers was a really big deal in the 90s. And is it bad that I want to compare them to the Kardashians? They weren't as crazy, they just had TV shows that were just really big name, but instead of siblings, so it's probably not the best comparison. But we're going to be talking a lot more about them later, so if you're not that familiar with them, we will just talk about their films in July. We're going to be covering some of theirs that they've done for Disney Channel. As well as we have the late great Debbie Reynolds. She is the queen, she plays Madame, and it's not that big a part, it's more in the second act she's in, but I just adore her, and it's really cool to see people like this supporting this industry and to doing these animated anime films, because it's such a great work of art, and a lot of people don't necessarily look at anime in the best light, and I do see that, and sometimes otakus don't help with that, but they're like the fangirls of anime, otakus, where they just latch on and become obsessed. It's not a bad thing, but
I'm in love with you, senpai, doki doki, chan, kawaii, kohai, sama.
kind of gets a bad stigma at times, and then you have the other, and that's the same thing with Comic-Cons and all that stuff. But I think now it's a lot more mainstream, and I'm really excited about that because these are wonderful works of art, and I want to see them be out there and be supportive and encouraged to watch. As I'm going on a rant of talking about cast members still. The really cool thing that is probably my favorite thing that I just learned recently about this film, because I'm watching it again and I'm listening to the voices of Sanu, who is the bakery shop owner, and I will go look it up because it sounds super familiar to me and I don't know where I've heard it before.
Ooh, a delivery business, huh?
Well, I really only have one skill, and that's flying. So I thought a delivery service wouldn't be a bad idea.
It's a great idea. KIKI'S Flying Delivery Service. And since you're staying right here, I can be your very first account.
So I look it up, and her name, Trace McNally, is the actor's name. So that's not a name that you know. I didn't know this name, but you do know her voice. I looked up and she voiced Dot from the Animaniacs, but she also does another really important character too.
It's Donald! He must have gotten my text! Hello?
Yeah, she's Daisy Duck. And I was so excited to find this out, that she's the voice of Daisy Duck. But at the same time, it also made it a little bit harder because I will look this up halfway through the movie as I'm watching it. So knowing this fact, the rest of the film, I could not stop thinking about her as Daisy.
Morning, everyone!
Well, look who's up. Did you sleep well?
And I just heard Daisy in my head compared to Osamu. So it could go both ways, but it's still fantastic, and it's really, really cool to know this, especially now that how much more it has a Disney connection to it, which is awesome. The story is really simple. It's about a 13-year-old witch girl, which is Kiki, and it's a tradition for them to leave home when they're 13 for a year to do their training and to learn how to survive on their own.
Gigi, wake up! Tonight's the night! Hey, Mom! Mom, it's the perfect midnight for me to leave home. And I heard on the radio that tonight there'll be a big full moon.
And it's really a cool concept. It's such a slice of life film and not that much happens. It's just a really simple story and I love it for it. You go watch her journey as she meets all these people, befriends these family, and befriends the bakery shop owner, Osamu, and then she has her potential love interest, Tomo, and it goes in and out of her trying to figure out what her skill will be and how she's going to survive, and there's so much nice humor in it, and it's just a really cool everyday story, and I love things like this where you can just relax, and it's so relatable. Except for the fact that she can fly and she's a witch. It's so relatable! But that's how she's able to make her living, and she creates a delivery service so she's able to learn and train and focus on her skill of flying. And the climax of the story is she ends up losing her powers temporarily and she doesn't know if she's able to get it back or not. So there is some climax, there is some drama, but it's not super duper high intensity. It's just something that you can watch and relax and relate to, and it's really, really cool, and that's what I love about it, that the plot is so simple and it's just a really cool slice of life story. The animation is flawless. I love the style of it. It's really true, beautiful animated art, and the music is also flawless too. The soundtrack is really simple and it's just really peaceful, relaxing, orchestrated music. And I do listen to the songs on a regular basis, I really do. It's just something that puts me in a nice little zen mode and I can relax to it, and it's just really beautiful pieces that were created that if you want to relax, if you just want to peace out and to enjoy the surroundings, they're awesome music. It's awesome to listen to. The entire time I thought it took place in Japan. No, I actually looked it up and did more research, and it was inspired by Stockholm, Sweden in the 1950s in an alternate universe timeline if World War II and World War I didn't happen. So it's really cool to know too, and it changes the whole perspective of it. And it was the first foreign country that I cannot pronounce his first name. I'm really bad. Hayao Miyazaki is a film director. I adore his work. I just don't know if I can pronounce his name correctly. Yeah, so he's the one he's in charge of Studio Ghibli, and such an important name to know. And he has worked with Phil Lasseter, who is from Pixar, and Phil Lasseter saw his stuff and was the one that really wanted to promote Studio Ghibli's work to get under Disney and to get into the Western audience. So that's really cool. We're going to be talking more about Phil Lasseter as well when we talk about Pixar, but I like the team that they have together, and I'm really grateful that he was able to bring it into America and to be able to teach expose a whole new audience to this brilliance of a film and brilliance of all Studio Ghibli. So I'm really excited to continue to keep on talking about this. We have a couple more that I wanted to focus on. There are tons of films, but I only picked 2 more. I picked 3 in total just because I'm really familiar with them and I thought they were cool to focus on. tomorrow we're going to continue with Studio Ghibli, and we're going to be talking about Spirited Away, which is the film that was actually nominated for Oscars here and is probably the most well-known Studio Ghibli film to new audiences. If you're talking about like people saw one film from Studio Ghibli, it would be Spirited Away, I feel. So stay tuned. And as always, I hope you have a magical day, and I will see you real soon.